heard a little earlier on, President Obama's been using some rather undiplomatic language about BP. His supporters say that he's entirely justified because of the depth of the oil spill and the crisis, but a lot of people in this country, led by the London Mayor Boris Johnson, have been fighting back, saying BP's being unfairly beaten up. I'm joined now by the US Ambassador Louis Susman. Ambassador, thank you very much indeed for coming in. Would you accept that perhaps some of the language used by the administration was a little over the top? All this stuff about keeping a boot on British Petroleum's throat.
Well, I would suggest to you that the importance of what we're saying is President Obama and the administration would probably have said the same thing if it had been an American company. Mm-hmm. It's not the issue of diplomatic issues. It's an issue that we have a catastrophic event that has not only caused loss of lives, loss of all of the fisheries in the sea, economically devastating. So while it might seem a bit undiplomatic in terms of the words, trust me, it had nothing to do with the fact that it was British or American. It was a fact that it's a problem.
I suppose it was the constant use of British Petroleum, where they've changed their name 9 years ago. And, you know, I don't remember anything about the nationality of Occidental when we had a much worse disaster with Piper Alpha. Nobody said that's an American company here.
I think the president potentially spoke that one time where he said British Petroleum, and he's very keen to say BP at this point.
So he spoke yesterday to David Cameron,
yes,
the Prime Minister, and we've got some accounts of the conversation from the British side in the newspapers this morning. Can you enlighten us from your side what it felt like?
It was, as reported, a very warm conversation on a multitude of issues: Afghanistan, Iran, G20. And when the BP particular issue came up, they both are agreed. It's an ecological disaster. BP has to do everything possible to stop the leak, accept their responsibility. And the president made it very clear that he has no intention of trying to hurt the financial viability of BP. That would be the last thing we want.
Or of this being seen as an anti-British thing.
It has nothing to do with anti-British.
Let's talk about Afghanistan, which is another of the crucial questions. Turn straight to the Foreign Secretary, William Hague, who is in Darlington and was listening to that. Good morning, Foreign Secretary. Could I start with the relationship with President Obama and BP? There has been a great deal of worry in this country that BP's share price was being driven further and further down by some of the rhetoric in Washington. Do you think that episode is now closed?
Yes, I think so. Relations between the UK and US are excellent. You're just listening to Lou Susman there, the US ambassador. You can see that relations are extremely good between our countries, and I think the conversation between the President and the Prime Minister last night said it all. The President said that he recognized this was a multinational global company, that the American reaction would not be driven by issues of national identity, that there would be no seeking to undermine the value of BP. The Prime Minister has pointed out that the importance of BP to the United States and the United Kingdom as well as other countries. So I think the tone of that conversation sets a good example for everybody else to follow.
Why did it take so long, though? I mean, it seemed to take quite a long time. It seemed to take Boris Johnson bouncing onto the stage and talking about it. The government's initial response to this was incredibly guarded and maybe over-diplomatic.
Well, look, we're not going to react to every newspaper headline. We're not going to be that sort of government. The truth of the matter is that the substance of relations between the UK and US are outstanding at every level, again, as we've just been saying. That what's really important here is the work that BP are doing and that US officials are doing to mitigate the consequences, however they can, of this this catastrophic oil leak, and BP's efforts to contain it. That's the really important thing going on. And it's much better for the focus to be on those things. We're not going to get into a panic every time there is a newspaper headline. That was the style of the last government. We will deal with these things in a calm and orderly way, which has been done in the Prime Minister's phone call yesterday.
Well, there's nothing calm or orderly that happened to BP recently. I mean, its share price has crashed. A lot of people's pensions in this country are tied up with BP's fortune. So are we going to see no more of talk about BP having to consult American politicians before it decides on its dividend policy? No more talk about part of BP being nationalised or hived off in the States? No more special fines so that they can subsidise other parts of the oil industry? Is all of that gone?
Well, the BP will decide on its own dividend, of course it is. But let's be clear, it has a big task in front of it, and it's had to work hard in recent weeks. It does have to do its utmost to stop this oil spill, to deal with it satisfactorily on a permanent basis, and to do everything it possibly can to mitigate the consequences, as I've said. And the UK government, we're playing our part in offering the large quantities of chemical dispersant to the United States in order to try to help with this. So it's got a huge task in front of it. Let's not underestimate that in any way. But I think the President made the United States position very clear. They're not seeking in the United States to undermine the value of BP. And they know full well that there are many thousands of people working for BP in the United States. And there are almost as many American shareholders of BP as there are British shareholders. And that's well understood on both sides of the Atlantic.
You've been in Afghanistan.